Hello and good evening. It is Thursday, November 4th, 2021, and Star Trek Prodigy, Season 1, Episode 3, even though it's Week 2, Starstruck is over. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. And I got a couple of great podcasters here I'm in cat boots with to talk about this tonight. We got Jessica Chan. How you doing tonight, Jessica?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to talk about the development of the new crew, and we got from Locutors of Trek, we got Davan Skelhorn, who's many Star Trek podcasts with us during the week, and is also my second cousin. How are you doing tonight, Davan?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Got a fresh pair of cat boots. Just for
fresh
this
pair of cat boots. We got a new crew. We're a bunch of cadets ready just to take this ship out on into the horizon, and so yeah, this is it's technically the third episode. They're calling it episode 3 in terms of like all the sites and everything, but last week was the premiere. It was like, I guess, a 2-parter. They just ran it as one long episode for 45 minutes, but I guess in syndication they might break that up into 2 episodes. So Starstruck is the name of this episode that we're breaking down tonight. Excited to talk about it with you both. Hey. Oh, we already got one comment. And are we Sam is always holding out for our Gilligan's Island podcast, which my
Gilligan's
father,
Island?
Yeah, we do on Monday nights here on Live Long and Podcast. We do our Ted Trek podcast with my dad, Ted. And that's watching the 1960s Star Trek, the original series show. He is a huge Gilligan's Island fan. And when he's freed up from that, we might do that over on Super Mader Brothers podcasting, but that wouldn't be over here on Live Long and Podcast. But how you doing tonight, Sam? Good to hear from you. And what am I forgetting here? Oh, bring that down the banner. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think of tonight's episode? There's some interesting things to break down. It was mostly like our new crew getting kind of acquainted with their ship. We only got a little bit of hologram Janeway last week, and there was a lot more in this episode. They were kind of getting acquainted with the protostar. Maybe go to Davan first.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was kind of short and sweet, wasn't it? Like, it seems like what would amount to an act, or even maybe a long scene in a regular Star Trek show, is kind of what they're going to go with as a full episode. Like, it's just like kind of the scene where, oh no, we're falling into a nebula, or
it was a binary star system.
You're right. There was a white dwarf swallowing a red giant, or something like that.
As it goes,
as they do,
of course.
The cosmic ballet goes on.
Yes, and yeah, there was a bit of a problem here. I thought also, Jessica, interesting with the we're still getting to know these characters, and Dal being sort of like the de facto captain of this crew. As he tells us in this episode, that's what a captain would do.
Which is what a natural born captain would do.
Of course. It's kind of self-appointed.
We got a little bit more information of us, I guess, sort of what Janeway's hologram was for. We still don't really know kind of why the protostar was there, or any kind of, we didn't really get much details, but you kind of got a little bit of everybody's character a bit more. And like, I liked it overall. I feel like I'm getting old because like everything he did in this episode, I was just like, oh my God, teenagers, like just like,
yeah,
he doubled down so hard on being wrong. And I was just like, all right, come on. Like, just want to smack him at one point, but I realize I'm probably just old and curmudgeon.
Well, I think it's very explicit that he's supposed to be. So I think they want some character growth for Dal, so they're kind of starting him really kind of immature and very suspicious and not willing to trust things. And I also think, as we know, that this Star Trek show, Prodigy, is a children's show. It's aimed at children, especially I think under 14, maybe more specifically under 10. And I think that they're trying to introduce the Star Trek universe to a whole new generation. And Janeway hologram here is sort of like is kind of our proxy, the older generation, us being like the people who have had Star Trek for a long time, and Dal and the rest of the crew are like, we don't know what the Federation is, we don't know what Starfleet is, and it doesn't matter if you know. I was kind of getting the feels in tonight's episode where she was explaining the hologram Janeway was getting a lot more lines than the first week, kind of explaining the Federation.
The United
like that too.
Federation of Planets, an interstellar union of different worlds and species, with shared principles of universal liberty, rights, and equality.
Equality, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I like to boldly go.
Good old Rok-Tahk.
Yeah, Rok-Tahk, and it's sort of like everything, like it was just kind of a lot of exposition also from the Janeway hologram. Like, this is what I do. They were Gwyn being like tied up from the last episode, being sort of their hostage or sort of this prisoner that they've brought along with them. And some interesting scenes, in particular with Rok-Tahk and Gwyn in this one that I'd like to get into. But yeah, like there was a good few minutes, I'd say, maybe the first 6 minutes of this episode was all about Janeway hologram kind of saying, this is a Federation ship, this is what the Federation is, and then also saying, I'm here to help you cadets.
I can spot greenhorns a parsec away.
She can spot them.
Well, as a hologram myself, so can I.
Greenhorns.
Yeah, the greenhorns. Is that a term we've used in Star Trek before, Davan? I can't recall that one.
In Star Trek? Eesh.
That seems like an Andorian, maybe, or whoever has horns, I guess, whatever species has horns.
I mean, they used it in Battlestar Galactica every 20 minutes or so. But...
Did they?
Well, yeah, it's very military.
Or the reboot? I don't remember. In the original or reboot?
Reboot, I was thinking.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember just that. Now I'm going to rewatch it. Like, how often do they say this phrase?
Yeah. And also, like, the explanation, too, tonight about Starfleet.
Starfleet is the Federation's representatives for deep space exploration, on a mission to maintain peace and freedom, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Yeah, like, I thought there was some nice stuff here. I thought, like, it was kind of, Kate Mulgrew delivered these lines very well. I'm enjoying her as part of this show. As sort of like maybe the bridge between the generations. She's our proxy. We're going to teach you kids about this Star Trek universe and why it's important and why it's a good show and what franchise. Forget that Star Wars stuff.
Really had that introductory, this is the first Star Trek you're ever seeing in your life, little kid, kind of speech, didn't it? This is like, here's Starfleet, here's the Federation, here's your little like kind of Star Trek ideals. Boldly go.
We got a comment here from Jeremy. He was saying, well, sure, let's just make Neelix captain. And why does a hologram need coffee?
I was excited to see the coffee. I was like, Devin's going to like that.
Too. I was very happy. Because holograms dream of electric coffee. That's why.
That's how it goes. Yeah. The peace part is optional. Yeah. Like, well, she didn't actually talk about having the coffee, but they wrote this into the holograms program. Like, well, I'm based on one of the most decorated captains in Starfleet history.
I'm a hologram based on one of the most decorated captains in Starfleet history.
And they've written my addiction to caffeine right into the algorithm.
One of the most decorated coffee drinkers as well.
Yeah. One of the, I don't think like Cisco likes it. Rok-Tahk. He's trying to cut back. Sure. But it's not always easy. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. Just kind of like trying to get them excited. But Dal is the skeptic. The worst. He's like, the Federation.
The Federation? It's just another name for someone else in charge.
People in
authority. I liked him in the first episode, but he just annoyed the crap out of me.
I know, and that's my problem I had, and I had to try and like pull back and be like, is this just because I'm an old fuddy-duddy, and like maybe kids that are watching this won't be as annoyed as him. Like maybe they're all very gung-ho, and that's what they would do, and like screw this hologram and do what I want. But I don't know. I was just like, oh my god, this guy's so annoying.
I watched it with my partner, and she was just like, I need this plot point to move on now.
Yeah. I hope you learn fast. not like, please, not like 10 episodes of him being an idiot like this. 'Cause I
Well,
can't.
I can kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit because he has some his explanation here. He's like he just doesn't trust authority. He kind of grew up in this
That makes sense.
in this prison.
Distrust.
People in authority lie. They try to sell you the good life, but it's a good life for them, not us.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess we have to realize, like, we know everything about Starfleet and what they stand for, but they've never heard of Starfleet out there. Like, they're not a known presence. None of them like know what it is. So to them, it's just a kind of basic idea that there's just one person telling them it's great. But
yeah, space madness.
Yeah,
Space flu.
and
Space flu.
Space Flu.
Listen to
Space
her.
Flu first.
She's got space madness.
You mean space flu?
Space flu.
Space flu.
It's kind of
I mean,
interesting when you
Flu.
think about it. If you look at this kind of like as the older generation introducing Star Trek to the young ones, that's like kind of maybe what kids think about, like, are watching these like 90s shows back to the 60s. Like, what is this old show with these guys in their jumpsuits and they're like,
Colored shirts.
kind of lame. Like,
Yeah.
skepticism from Dal. Maybe that's what kids think about watching Star Trek and what their
I guess
parents.
so.
It's great,
I
it's
wonder
great.
if they did like focus groups or anything. Like, what do you like about Star Trek? What do you not understand about Star Trek? How can we try to like introduce this to you? And I think like they were trying to like throw everything cool. They're like, hey, replicators and free food, anything you can imagine, and you can create your own ships, and you can go wherever you want. You can go and explore things, and also like these other ideas of like the Federation's about equality. It's about trying to be better. It's trying to stand up for certain ideals and to sort of expand your mind and your knowledge and things like that. So I think though I really like those parts of it, because I keep having to say like this is not geared towards adults. Like their Star Trek is now this multi-pronged franchise that is multiple touch points. Like I think we talked about this a little bit last week with like Lower Decks, like and I don't think you're caught up on Lower Decks, Jessica.
Not yet, no.
But there was like one episode in season 2 that we were watching one week, and we're like, there was kind of like a scene where we're like, we couldn't believe that they put this into a Star Trek episode, right? And I'm thinking about, well, I'll play the one clip for you.
It's not naked time.
It's naked time, but
Okay, it's naked time.
It's yeah.
It's naked time! I can't tell where I end and you begin.
Oh
That was
okay.
it was a Star Trek fever dream.
It was
I mean,
seemingly.
They've done questionable things, like Tasha and Data was like when I watched that when I was like 8 or 10 or something. I'm
Yes, in season 1 of TNG. Yeah, and so it like this is as like family friendly, I think, as Star Trek has ever tried to go, but it's also sharing this space with things that are more adult focused. Like in a couple weeks, we got Star Trek Discovery season 4 starting up. I'll be doing that with Jessica's husband Michael, along with Adam Woodward, and that's a much more serious action show that's going to have a lot more drama to it. So,
but seems geared towards like teenagers or preteens. Discovery, I feel.
Yeah, like or early.
Very juvenile, like in its writing. I find like it doesn't
Sometimes.
make you think.
I don't think so. I just think it's a show that I don't know. They're trying to figure out what people want out of Star Trek right now, and they're trying a bunch of things. And they're
throwing things at the wall sometimes and seeing what
I don't know.
sticks.
Yeah, I find them endearing. Like I like the cast, even if the story is sometimes not great. I like members of the cast. I enjoy watching them. So
yeah, and Picard is also in the mix, and we got all these other shows that are going on in Strange New Worlds as well. And so and back to Prodigy though, Prodigy is much more kind of what reminds me of shows I grew up watching. Power Rangers in particular. I think for some reason I don't. What other shows would you compare Prodigy to so far? Because it's about like a ragtag bunch who are kind of trying to flee from like a powerful overlord. And I even think about shows like Sliders, and I think about Voyager, being Star Trek, the most obvious connection here. But
Definitely the Star Trek shows, like the cartoons, like Rebels and stuff. I feel like it kind of fits there, and like kind of like in Rebels, I think like the main character is like a teen as well, is like trying to figure things out, and it's that kind of feel. So
Farscape is amazing.
I don't think I've ever watched Starscape.
Me either.
I'm with you, Jeremy.
But
Farscape is
also kind of like maybe I don't know if it's insulting, like Disney shows, kind of like those. I don't know, like Kim Possible kind of, like fast-paced teenage leads kind of things. Like it has a bit of those like Disney, Nickelodeon type show feel. Well, Nick, this is Nickelodeon, yeah, but that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's just we'll see how this crew of the USS Protostar continues to evolve, and what will their mission be. Right now, they're just trying to get away from the Diviner, and what's his name? I keep coming back. Dreadnought.
I just remembered a
Dreadnought.
show. Did you guys ever? Did you get? Okay, because I was born in Canada, but I spent 4 years in the States. Did you guys get space cases here?
No, I don't know that.
I don't think
Oh
so.
no, it was like a crew of like kids. And they were doing like a tour of like a spaceship, and then they got like catapulted into, I don't know, like deep space, kind of like Voyager. But the whole crew was like 2 teachers and a bunch of kids. And that was the whole show. That's what this reminds me of.
Sounds similar.
It is.
Was Shago the best? Shago, was that the villain from that show?
I don't remember. I remember the theme song perfectly because it had the guy from Power Rangers, and it had Jewel State, who was the actress in Firefly.
Yeah. Stargate
Kaylee?
Atlantis.
I forget her name on Firefly, but
Yeah, Kaylee.
Kaylee. Okay, yeah.
With this Dreadnought and the Diviner being like they weren't in this episode a ton, but their presence was felt, and I am continually impressed. We had John Noble and Jimmy Simpson, who are 2 fantastic actors, like screen actors as well, and now doing these voices. And they have some real like dark things going on here, and I feel like they're powerful villains. Here's a clip.
Shall the unwanted continue to extract Chimerium?
Yes. Exhaust them so they're too tired to rise up again.
And then he's like, "I'm coming for you, my progeny."
You get to see the kitty. The kitty's in the mine working. Very sad.
The poor helmet on. So sad.
Yeah.
They gotta
Very
save
sad.
those kitties. They gotta
I
save
know,
that
they better go
kitties.
back. I'd be pissed if they don't.
Me too.
Yeah. Right.
No season 2 for me if they don't save those kitties.
Right. The whole thing with Gwen tonight, Gwen being the daughter of the bad guy, right? And she is they throw her into the brig here. And there's like she doesn't really say much.
Starboard side.
Starboard side. Which side's the starboard side? It's the right side of the ship, isn't it?
Oh, Murph found the starboard side.
I like to think he noticed that Murph also kind of pulls stuff out of nowhere. And he's like, Murph, do you have anything? You're gonna
Murph's
fix
eating a chair.
So I don't know what to make of Murph yet. What's Murph's
Sometimes
purpose?
he's like a baby, but sometimes he's like really smart. I don't know. He's
It
kind of
reminds
weird.
me a little of if you guys watched Final Space. What's the little green guy? Choop Choop. I forget what he calls him. It's so cute.
He's like their pet, I guess.
I guess so. He
Or
kinda
captain?
can do what he likes.
He's the captain. That's
Maybe.
captain
Yeah,
material.
make Murph the captain. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Better than Gal.
He's made the best decision so far. He triggered the automatic defense system so that allowed them to escape in episode 1 and 2. So really, he's done more successful decisions than any of them.
And
Yeah.
Rok-Tahk's cool, but she's got a temper, so she probably shouldn't be captain.
Oh, Rok-Tahk.
Rok-Tahk. Yeah. Well,
My
okay.
favorite
Then,
scene, though, I think, was like the food scene where she's just like, "It's the only thing I've ever eaten," and I was so sad. But it's like that answers the question how long she had been in that mine prison, which is essentially forever. Like
Her whole
she was
life.
either born there or caught as a baby or something.
yeah, as an infant or something
Yeah.
incredibly young. Well, like at least, well, she had a native language, so that no one else spoke. So at least that old, I guess. But beyond that, we get the impression that they were down there. I thought, like, well, Gwen, who says, "My father will come."
My father will come for me. All I have to do is wait.
Dal saying, "What's a guy in a tank gonna do? Swim at me?"
Yeah,
What's a guy in a tank gonna do? Swim at me?
I thought though that like Rok-Tahk kind of confronting Gwyn early here and say, you know, why were you a willing participant?
Yeah.
So many years you watched them take us. How they treated us. Why didn't you stop them?
My father told me. I thought you were criminals.
We're not criminals. The only crime we ever committed was getting caught.
Do you guys buy that?
I don't, because the guy straight up said in the first episode, I've run out of orphans and I can't remember what the other thing was. Right to her face. I've cleared all the orphanages in this side of the Delta.
This side of the Delta.
So she knows that he's been picking up kids from orphanages. So she's lying.
Don't lie to Rok-Tahk. Rok-Tahk's very sweet.
Rok-Tahk will not be taking any of your BS, you know, and Rok-Tahk kind of like the security officer in this episode. Yeah, but there's some real like emotional weight to some of this. I think that, you know, like, but also some joy. I think, you know, you got characters like Jaemeel who, like the food scene, you know, where he's like, "This is free," and
The food replicator uses matter conversion to create any meal you dare dream of.
And when he
the Janeway hologram immediately insults him, so he likes her.
Yeah. He's like, oh, very
I
good.
like this.
Jaemeel likes you, Janeway.
Yeah.
With your, because he calls her. What did she say? You're no spring chicken or something like
Fresh
that, or you're.
peach, I think.
You're no summer peach either.
Summer peach, there we go.
Summer peach.
Yeah, and what he orders from the replicator is. What is it? Okay, here it is.
Blood
Sour
truffle,
gravy.
sweet radish pie, and don't skip on the sour gravy.
Blood truffle biscuits. It was something pie.
Sweet radish pie.
Sweet radish pie and sour gravy. What a combo!
Yeah.
Does not look appetizing. It's like just a glob of food.
How old do we think Jaemeel is? Is he, because he's a Tellarite, which is a Federation planet, but he doesn't know what the Federation is.
I'm thinking like teens.
Yeah, so he might have been in the mines for a long time. We don't know how he came to be there. He knows he's a Tellarite. He knows. I assume that blood truffle biscuits are a Tellarite food, but he doesn't know the Federation. So there's some things he does know and some things he doesn't know.
It's blood truffle biscuits.
Well, I don't know for sure. That sounds like something a Tellarite would have.
That's actually hilarious because they're like pig people, right? The Tellarites.
Yeah.
And people use pigs to sniff out truffles.
Yeah. On Tellar, they would, they make it into biscuits.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, though. Or like Tellarites are kind of like blood truffle sniffers.
Exactly. So yeah, like and there was a comment last week, I think it was actually from Jeremy, who said like, because I was like, oh, they're in like this prison camp, like I thought it was like a Rua Pente, like something like that, like they had come to be there maybe by getting arrested for something, even if it was like a juvenile facility, but no, it seems to be like some kind of a child labor camp, some kind of like really shady operation that this diviner, the guy
just picked up kids that no one would notice was missing, basically. Just really sad.
Your case, your crime is for being too cute.
No.
To the mines you go.
They didn't sound like that sound vacation though. It sounded like he took a kid that wasn't unwanted because he couldn't find an unwanted, and he said, "We'll take this as a compensation." So it didn't sound like the vacation was taken from an orphanage or anything, because he said he'd already cleared all those out. So someone might be.
Vacations are coming for that baby.
Well, it may have just been like a child without anywhere to go, and so sort of a help, so like dropped off there.
Just get that poor kitty a new pair of cat boots.
I'm gonna believe there's a family out there. They're gonna find.
Yeah.
Because also they're not gonna drag around a little kid for the other part of the season. So I'm assuming someone's gonna take them home.
Yeah, we need cat boots for him.
I knew you were in cat boots.
Yeah, like I think that like this crew, like they're finally out of like this horrible thing, but then we keep coming back, and there's many more of their fellow prisoners that are still back there who you're kind of feeling for. I'm like, they got to go back and save these people. Ultimately, once they kind of get their bearings a little bit, but
And start listening to Janeway as far as like destinations go.
Yeah, well, they're
Go
like
to this crazy red dot. That's a great idea.
where does Dal? What is that dot that Dal wants to go to? Is that like because he doesn't even know what species he is?
Oh, it was just like the craziest looking thing on the map because it was, a star swallowing another star. So it was big and red as in like, don't go there. I think.
Okay. So it's just being like dumb on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I can do that.
Kazon's grabbing trick-or-treaters, maybe.
Oh, man. It's not even a real kitty. It's just a costume.
Yeah. Which makes me think of like, I just watched the new Doctor Who episode a couple of nights ago for the new season. And there was like a dog man and he shows up on Halloween. And there,
for so many years.
Yeah. It's
good? Worth watching?
Well, I'd say this current Doctor is not my favorite, but I'm still watching. So I'm but I'm excited for Russell T Davies to be coming back.
Yay!
Yeah, who's coming back as showrunner, and we're gonna apparently get a new Doctor after this season. But I hope they finish strong here with 13. But back to Prodigy. Got to stay on track. Yeah, so this whole thing where like the protostar like gets to this binary star system, the red dwarf, or red giant and white dwarf gravity well, they can't get out. I thought there were some interesting things here that they were setting up, like how diverting power works. I think like Janeway's like, I only kind of help run low level things, but you have to fly this ship yourselves, right? Like it's almost like they want these characters, these young teenagers, to be like sort of the proxies for the kids watching, and like, how does this work? Like, you have to move power up and down, and you gotta like, if you take away from this, it's gonna do that. We see like it's like it takes away like the shields. It takes away the force field in the brig that's holding Gwyn, so she's like escaping.
Divert all power to impulse. Actually, if you divert all the power,
yeah. But you hear that all the time on the bridge, like in other Star Trek shows. They're like, divert all power to
but they don't say all power.
All available power.
Or like reserve power or auxiliary power. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
they would never say divert all power, except for like in like maybe in like Year of Hell and stuff like that, where they're just like they have nothing left and they're just like, who cares about life support? We're dead anyway. That sort of thing.
Well, yeah, because they would technically have turned off like we saw it turned off the gravity at one point, or like or I think Gwyn was responsible for that. But yeah, life support would turn off too, if it was all the power. So it's like, but maybe they have. I always thought that there was like a certain level that wouldn't get diverted, but that kind of creates this whole crisis where like the prisoner's out, and then we saw that the protostar. I'm still trying to get my sense of this ship because it's it only seems to have quarters for the captain. Otherwise, it's all bunks and things like that. It has a ship replicator, or like a shuttlecraft replicator that was taking power at one point. That's when they realized Gwyn was escaping, or trying to escape. They put Rok-Tahk on that.
It seems to be a training ship that just got lost or stolen. Like she was expecting cadets. So, and like you say, there's only like quarters for one adult. So it looks like there was supposed to be like a training captain, the hologram to help out, and then like a bunch of cadets.
Well, Janeway says, "Yeah, I'm here to help you on your journey back to the alpha/beta quadrant where the Federation is located." And this is not here. We still don't understand a lot of things. There's a lot of mysteries here. Why is this ship here? Why was it underneath this mine? Why does the diviner want it so bad? He wants that ship even more than he mentions the ship before Gwyn. He's like, I want my ship and my daughter, but the ship first. That's my ultimate prize.
Turns out he has a cool ship.
Yeah, and like, and the other thing too is like, I'm told is that the Star Trek year in the Star Trek universe here is 2383, and Voyager returned to the Alpha Quad. Like the show Voyager ends like around 2378, something like that. Like, so this is like 5 years after that. So the ship, like when that ship got there and how, and the specific uniform that she's wearing and the communicator she's wearing, there's a lot of things I'm questioning. Not that that's a big thing. If Jaemeel was here, he would tell me the canon doesn't matter. But
He's always here.
I think
He's
that's
always-
part of the mystery, though, right? I assume, because like, what's the plan for it? What's the diviner want with it? And like, how do you get there? They're gonna have to address that eventually, right? Because
yes. Yeah. We're only going to get so many episodes this season. I guess we're going to go to 10. So so this is now 3 we're on to here. Let's see. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 more after this.
yeah, so
Um,
they've got a lot to work on or work through, and then obviously the crew themselves has issues.
well, like Gwyn is still sort of at odds with them, but I get the impression Gwyn is going to become a member of this crew at some point. I get the impression that Gwyn is meant to be like the first officer of this ship eventually. Would you agree with that?
Or captain.
Or actual captain, because that's space madness, though.
Yeah. Well, they're both. It's interesting because they definitely set them up as like the two leads, and they're both kind of selfish in their own ways. So it'll be interesting. I guess they definitely kind of put them on the same journey that they have to go through. Obviously, I didn't care about other people. Obviously, Gwyn's probably more based in fear that she doesn't act, and Dal's more of a, does what he wants to do, but
more impulsive, a little bit more. They kind of I'd say this Dal character in particular reminds me mostly of like the Chris Pine version of Kirk from the Kelvin universe movie. Just kind of impulsive, kind of like making it up as he goes, kind of all just sort of hoping it'll work out, but also kind of smart. And seeing where particularly Gwyn and Dal, I think that they're an interesting dynamic. It seems like Jankum Pog is the engineer. It seems that Rok-Tahk maybe is the muscle, the security officer potentially.
The heart, though, seems like she's the heart of the show. Or
she's the heart. There's also going to be like their place sort of amongst this crew and how they relate to each other. But in terms of like what I guess their job, I always come back to what is their job here? What's their function?
Zero seems to be at the helm.
Zero seems to be the pilot, and can't really tell the left hand from the right hand, which is part of the issue. Never had hands before.
Yeah.
Yeah, other left. Your other left, Zero. I think that, and then there's Murph, right in the mix.
Yeah. Just eating chairs. Oh, Murph.
Yeah, but then them going through this whole exercise of like having to learn how to fly the ship. Jeremy commenting here, like the ship looks high tech, but at the same time, it looks like it could be like from the Enterprise era, almost. I don't know. The registry number like makes me believe it's not. It's definitely from like the 2370s. It would be from the Voyager / Deep Space Nine sort of era.
Looks like the Prometheus to me.
A lot like the Prometheus. And speaking of which, like tonight, like we didn't really get this in the first the 2-part first episode. Murph is the security. Maybe.
That makes sense.
Just gonna barf on anyone.
But Jessica, like tonight we got like actually the first we got the title sequence. That's how the episode started. Like there wasn't even like a cold open or anything. It just kind of goes right into the sequence. I don't know if you watched. I guess you probably watched. Didn't watch on CTV Sci-Fi Channel, right? But that's kind of they did the sequence and then they went right to commercial on the CTV version, which I thought was a bit threw me off. But Davan and I had watched like the preview of this sequence, but they hadn't like added the names in or anything yet, which definitely for me really helped tonight. And we were seeing the ship kind of fly around, and even like. There's one part where it's like the nacelles are going up and down, like through in the warp, which is kind of like what Voyager would do, sort of. And then
the middle one opened up, right? It actually opened like they have the two.
Was there
in the middle? Yeah, it opened
a
like
third
it opened
nacelle.
a third
nacelle. Blast.
Kind of like opened and came. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I noticed. Yeah, it kind of came.
Gene Roddenberry always wanted like nacelles to be in pairs, right? And he always said because they had to be able to see each other. That was like one of his original rules. But after he died, they broke that rule a bunch of times, including in like the Next Generation finale where they put like that third nacelle on the Enterprise in the future version.
Gene Roddenberry wanted boobs to come in extra pairs, so
yeah, he had some good ideas. He also had some not so good ideas. If you look back at the original series, there's some of his attitudes towards women, even though he was very progressive for his time, or it's very cringy now to kind of look back on some of it.
I was disappointed. I thought, he was all moving forward thinking, and I found out one of the reasons he didn't like Tasha Yar is he thought there were too many women in TNG. Like 3 is too many. Get rid of one. I was like, whoa, okay, well then.
Yeah.
And the soft filter on all the like lady actresses is distracting.
We just need
the
two.
dudes always have shadows.
Aerobics together.
In particular, like he would write episodes where like there'd be like Uhura or whoever, and they'd be like, "Captain, I'm scared," and you go, "They're there."
Oh, I'm frightened.
I'm frightened. So he a mixed bag.
Rick Berman was a turd too. So and
Kurtzman too. Let's take them all down. They've all no one's perfect, but I think that there's that leaves room for improvement at least. So like Davan, did you like this opening sequence we get in the episode? Like the whole and the ship and the sort of the vibe that they're going with?
I did.
It's good.
I like the ship. I'm interested to see what the third nacelle's all about.
Odd numbers are heresy.
It was it felt more. It got more of a Star Trek feel this episode. Well, it moved away from the like, am I watching Star Wars right now? It felt more Star Trek, but also different things. Like I noticed they kept kind of having this imagery where it looked like the ship was going on a track. I don't know if you noticed that. Like it'd have like a road open and it would kind of follow this little track, or like they'd have these walls. I don't know. It was interesting.
I didn't
It
notice
was very a little more abstract than other openings that are more kind of, except for Discovery. Discovery's one is also really abstract, but usually it's just like planets and stars and stuff. But.
Well, I do like some of the visuals. I like we talked about this last week where I'm like, I really do like sort of how pretty this show is at times. Like I was really digging like here where we get like the holograms and things like that, and like sort of like the different especially like the exterior space stuff that we get. Where is it?
Is that a Tellarite there or in the?
Yes. If you look, right here.
Yeah, so that way, I guess if that's the adult, then you could see that Jankum Pog must be pretty young because he doesn't have as much like wrinkles and his face is not as strong. I don't know. You know what I mean?
They always have a lot of facial hair.
He doesn't have as much facial hair. This guy seems to have more pronounced tusks. Not all Tellarites have tusks, I don't think. But like and Janeway's like, when the Federation got together, they weren't so good either. Like it was kind of a rough start, which is interesting. Like,
it was a long road getting from there to here.
Of course it was, but but sometimes when you get like stuff like this, like some just like this part of the animation, I really like just showing space, the stars, things like that. Some of like the backgrounds and this is good too. I don't know. It's kind of like sometimes I get close-ups on Rok-Tahk or Jankum Pog. I'm like, I don't know. They just some of their designs. Yeah, but yeah, you can see like Jankum really up close there. He doesn't have. He looks like a kid, I guess.
Yeah, right? The purple hair and stuff. They're definitely. Yeah, he's a kid for sure.
02? Do you think how old's Zero? Is Zero like an adolescent?
I don't
They all are.
You're our expert on Medusans.
Do they age?
My expertise is I've watched the only episode they've been in, which is Is There in Truth No Beauty? Just the boring ones. TNG's contribution to sci-fi, the push-up bra. Don't forget the muscle suits, too.
Shoulder pads.
I thought that I liked their contribution of the male miniskirt. I was really hoping they would keep that going.
It lasted
but at least
for one scene in the first episode.
Yeah, at least we got Futurama's Zach Brannigan out of it. So
like Yeah, like that was one that was another Gene Roddenberry. He's like, yeah, we have scants. Men can wear dresses, and like they said, well, what about like and Patrick Stewart being bald? He's like, no one will care in the 24th century about baldness. But then he would insist on other things like there can be no wrinkles because I hate ironing shirts, and so that's why like the first couple seasons of Next Gen have like those super tight like spandex uniforms that apparently were super hard on their backs,
no.
and things like that. So yeah, I don't know, it's a kind of mixed bag. Yeah, so but just in terms of like how they have to like they eventually they're about to die, effectively. There was the whole scene where like Rok-Tahk was kind of getting bested by Gwyn. Gwyn's like, I'm for what it's worth, I'm sorry. And then the gravity gets restored because I think Dal gives in and asks for help from the Janeway hologram because basically he has no choice. And when the hologram gets restored, Rok-Tahk just falls onto Gwyn and puts her back in the brig. And so that's kind of like they're like, well, actually, this Janeway hologram is not so bad.
Oh, I like he quickly reversed from maybe he learned a lesson to, but I knew when to ask for help, so that makes me a genius. So that's why I'm the captain. Like, oh, okay,
that's captain material,
which is what a natural-born captain would do.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so like they kind of get through this. It's kind of a bonding thing. They kind of like and maybe you should tell me how to steer right or steer left or whatever. That would be good too. And we end with this, like we click over to back to the Diviner and Dreadnought. What was this Chimerian cloak about? Does their base move?
Chimerian cloak activated.
No, they're hiding it because it's highly illegal.
There's no one there to protect it, I guess, because they're taking the ship with them. So
what? Yeah, I don't understand how they're intending to pursue the protostar.
But it was only part of it that was the ship. The rock or whatever they were mining is still wherever it was in space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, well, do we keep the unwanted? That's what they're called, the unwanted. So they're like they're orphans. They're all orphans.
Yeah.
Right?
Or abandoned kids or except for the kitty who was clearly stolen.
With the exception of Gwyn, who does have a parent, but it's the evil Diviner.
Maybe.
I am coming for you.
Yeah, that's true. He's the only one that we've heard say they're the only two of their species, and he's the one who says that they have to do it. And she's had no contact with anyone else, so how does she know if that's true or not? That could definitely be a lie.
Be a lie. Yeah, I'm interested to see like what is the arc there, and where do they go from here? But that was the whole episode. I don't know if we have any kind of trivia to really speak to because
I want to know if all that stuff that they ejected to try and get away is that going to come back? Is Janeway going to be like, you're going to need to pull this tool, and I'm like, yeah, we would if this Jack hadn't ejected it from the ship. Like, how much stuff did they lose? Like, is that like, do they have?
They lost all their escape pods.
The replicators, yeah, they have no escape pods.
They only had 3. It sounded like escape pod 1 gone, escape pod 2 gone, and then Jeremy comparing the Diviner to a kind of a Scrooge character almost. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so I think we've talked about the whole plot. Did you guys have any other like thoughts, questions? Because I think we can go into the ratings and kind of like maybe see what we want to, how we want to talk about this episode. Let's bring that in. No, that's no good. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so Starstruck was the name of this episode. I don't know what they were starstruck by. So
they were gonna get swallowed by a star.
I would give this an 8.5. It was pretty good.
I'll give this one a 7.5.
Same as last.
Didn't kind of rise above the last one as I thought it would. But
I think just all the Janeway stuff, like her explaining the Federation, Starfleet, I think like and everything. That's what made it really work for me. And then the fact that they had to kind of learn how to fly the ship together. So that was why I like this a bit more.
Yeah, I like the fact that Because I mean, you know what? We have no idea. They always in every Star Trek just show you a bunch of buttons and they're pressing things, and we have no clue what it is. So it'd be easy to kind of get the assumption, oh, it's probably pretty easy to fly a starship. Just mash some buttons. But I like that they're like, no, these kids actually have no clue what they're doing.
Except if you're firing their weapons. The weapons auto target. That's the easy part.
Apparently, Will Wheaton was the only one who kept it consistent because he had where he thought everything would be, and he would keep doing that, where everyone else was just like,
Oh yeah, Will Wheaton actually tried to have some logic to it.
yeah.
This is how you know the button mashers in video games versus the ones that actually learn the codes to do the special moves.
Tapping panels.
Mr. Data's the worst button masher ever.
I'll go with you, Dave. I'd say 8.5 was good. I'm torn with the ratings in this one just because Dal annoys me so much.
Yeah,
but I think they had a lot of exploration, a little bit more explanation of kind of who everybody was, and a little bit of like what Janeway was doing there, and they gave you enough. Like they were kind of moving things forward, so I like that.
Jeez, looks like I'm Space Scrooge.
Speaking of button mashing, I got a clip.
Life forms, you tiny little life forms, you precious little life forms. Where are you?
If you can make a song out of it, it's worth it. They need to bring that in. So just her credits here. This had an 8.6 so far on IMDb, but it was like 20 people had voted at that point.
You missed the best part of that quote, though, is the follow-up. I just love scanning for life forms.
This episode written by Chad Quant and directed by Alan Wan. And I would say that I guess again it's an ensemble. I wouldn't say that this featured any one character more than another here tonight. So
no.
Janeway.
Kind of more Janeway because she was so little in the first one.
I guess the most we got information wise was about Rok-Tahk and the fact that how long they'd been on that mining colony basically for, which is since she was a baby or a kid enough to not have ever remembered eating anything else. So
what do you think Nutra-Gruel tastes like? Or Nutra-Goop?
Is that what they called it? Nutra-Goop?
Like puppy food. Like dog food is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Well, they can replicate anything. But you gotta watch your weight when I just asked Kayshawn. I
always wondered about replicators. Does it replicate the exact calories of the things you ask? Like if I ask for a chocolate cake, it has the same calories as a chocolate cake?
Yes, because it does it from the atomic
molecular level or something like that. But there was one episode where Neelix, a Voyager, where Neelix replicated pierogies, and the doctor was scanning them, and he's like, "This have no nutritional content," and he's like, you could have replicated in a vitamin supplement or something," and he's like, "No, I made these from scratch by hand." Like no replicators at all.
I always
they could probably infuse it with any nutrient they wanted to.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping I could eat just junk, but it could have the nutrients and calories of good food.
I think you could
do that. Yeah, I think you could definitely do that.
Yeah, it's not.
I get sick of it unless you're Deanna Troi.
Yeah, chocolate. But if you're on the was it the day shift on Deep Space Nine? They get the flapjacks, Davan. Flap. I'll have because that's what Rom always asks.
And orange juice.
And an orange juice and some flapjacks, and and Quark's just squirming.
Some sausages.
He's like, no snail juice, no grub worms.
On the day shift.
Not on the day shift. I'm moving off of waste reclamation, brother.
It's like, do we just drink Rok-Tahk on the night shift? He's like, drink whatever you want. He's like, I'll have a Rok-Tahk.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to that. The Deep Space Nine rewatch podcast.
That's a good one.
There's some good stuff there. Okay, well, I think we're going to close the book tonight on Starstruck. I think it was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next with these characters. If you like what we do here on Live Long and Podcast, especially in this one, check out all of our content. We got tons going on. Monday nights, as mentioned, we talk about Star Trek, the original series. We're almost done that. We've been watching all 79 episodes, not in order. It used to be on Wednesdays, then it moved to Mondays. We got 2 left. This coming Monday, you'll check it out. We'll be talking about the original pilot, The Cage, from 1965. That's the one before William Shatner joined the show. That was the one they kind of had to go back and do. No one would believe a woman first officer, NBC said. So go back and make Spock the first officer. And then also I think it was just good. I think William Shatner was
he saved it. Jeffrey Hunter didn't have the personality.
No, I don't think Star Trek would have endured without Shatner either. So I think that it was kind of unheard of that to get a second pilot. So
Giggly Spock was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, not as weird as him singing on that elevator with Rebecca Romaine, but in that Star Trek short. But hey, I digress. And then Tuesday nights we talk about Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. We've been doing a rewatch of all those episodes in order for well over a year now. We just talked about Bar Association the other night. That was all about Union. Where's
I learned I might be royalty.
Yes, you might be descended from the king himself. Where's it? I can find things when I need to.
I am a direct descendant of King Brian Boru.
That's right, O'Brien. And then he had his other relative, Sean Aloysius.
Sean Aloysius O'Brien. He was a Union man.
So check that out on Tuesday nights on Deep Space Nine podcast. Jeffrey Hunter played Jesus. Did he? Okay. And then also, we right now we're talking about Star Trek Prodigy on Thursdays. In just 2 weeks, we're also going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery season 4. That's going to be kicking up. That airs later, so I imagine we're going to be doing this one earlier on Thursdays, and I'll be doing that one later with Michael Chan and Adam Woodward starting on the 18th. And then also this month, the return of Star Trek Radio Theater, which will, I believe we're going to be doing that on November 27th. We're going to be doing Star Trek Lower Decks is the 9th episode from season 2, Wedge Douge. I know Jessica hasn't seen it yet, so I won't tell her anything about the episode, but it's a really fun episode. And the whole season was fun. I really enjoyed the second season of Lower Decks. We did a whole bunch of companion podcasts about that.
Calm down, Dave. Dave, you're losing control here.
Yeah. You are,
She has lost all control.
The Vulcans. Your rebellions will only live to punitive spiritualism.
You know your rebellions will only lead to punitive spiritualism.
That sounds like an insult to me.
Well, it's not. So, also, check out our other channels. We have Trivial Debates, a monthly show where we argue about movie, TV, sports, music, all kinds of categories. We do that last Sunday of every month. We just did a Halloween themed episode this past Sunday. Check that out.
Or don't.
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding. You should definitely check that out.
Yeah,
see my greatest humbling experience.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like maybe because we're related, I didn't want to show bias towards you, so I think I may have been too harsh on you. But
that's fair.
But Jessica's been on the show. We have we do all kinds of fun debates about different subjects over there. So check that out. There's the points don't matter. No one cares who wins anyway. But it's all good.
I care
just,
very deeply.
Very deeply. And then Super Mater Brothers Podcasting is our third channel. That's kind of anything that's not Star Trek, movie and TV wise. We talk about right now we're doing season 41 of Survivor. If you like Survivor or Big Brother, we talked about both of those seasons. I do that with like my brother Jeff, Jaemeel Robinson, and others. And we also talk about Marvel content and different shows that we like, different TV and movies we like. Tomorrow I'm going to be seeing Eternals, the new Marvel movie in IMAX. Ooh. And I believe Davan and I will be connecting on Sunday to talk about that over on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. Maybe with Jaemeel. He's being wishy-washy about it. We'll see. So we're punitive spiritualism. Good stuff. Yes. So all good stuff. Yeah. So and then also check out Davan's podcast. It's called Locutors of Trek. You can
crap. Mirror.
Right there it is. What do you got going on over Locutors of Trek?
It should be. Tomorrow, our relationships episode should be available wherever you get your podcasts. We talk about the relationships of Star Trek, and Dave and I each unveil, my co-host Dave, not my cousin Dave here. We both unveil our top 5 relationships we wanted to see more of in Star Trek.
Oh, I gotta check that out. Looking for Parmakai in all the right places, maybe.
There's never a bad place for Parmakai.
The worst couple, which is a Voyager couple, in my opinion.
You mean is it Neelix and Cass?
Oh, that really made me uncomfortable. But
Yes, that is the worst one.
That is one of the worst ones. I was thinking of
Creepy.
of Chakotay and
7 of 9.
7 of 9, which came out of like nowhere and should never have happened.
Yeah, I would have shipped Chakotay and Janeway way ahead.
Yes, seriously,
But-
or at least leave it
yeah.
ambiguous.
They actually
Apparently
had a
that-
great relationship.
That came from Robert Beltran complaining to the executives that his character never got anything or something. So they wrote him in that, oh, we're gonna throw you together with 7 and 9, and that's
How would you like to have a makeout scene with
Jerry Ryan, Hakuchi Moya, he said, and
Hakuchi.
the rest. The rest is history. Okay, and so so check out Davan's next podcast over on Locutors of Trek. Thank you guys, Kira and O'Brien. That never actually happened. They only flirted.
But it was a bit steamy there for a second, wasn't it?
She was way better match for him than Keiko, if you ask me.
Oh, whoa! I will not have this Keiko bashing while I'm here. I love Keiko. She's a great.
Neelix robbing the cradle. But come on, Tom Paris was also trying to rob the
But
cradle.
Neelix was also like psycho possessive, and it was not a good look. His relationship with Kes.
So gross. That whole thing was.
This is gonna be a great
Yeah.
podcast you got tomorrow about all
Okay.
these relationships. So it's gonna be like, which was the cringiest relationships?
You know what? We didn't even bring up Neelix and Kes. Come to think of it, we blocked that one from our minds.
Yeah.
Well,
well,
if
no
you're
one-
going for the best, then definitely it wouldn't come up at all.
Oh, but we get into everything. We get into the dysfunctional relationships of Star Trek and everything. But I guess that one was too dysfunctional for even that. It needed its own category.
Everyone tries to forget Kes mostly for whatever reason. Not
my
everyone's favorite. All right, but check all that out. And thanks for watching, listening, commenting. Make sure to subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Right home. And let's take away with a great clip here, maybe from the Janeway hologram about what Starfleet is.
Starfleet is the Federation's representatives for deep space exploration, on a mission to maintain peace and freedom, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
I want to boldly go. Live long and podcast, everyone. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Davan. And